Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome to today's reading from the Krishna book. Yesterday we were reading that how Nanda Maharaj was describing the prophecies given by the Garg Muni when he came for the naming ceremony of Krishna. And the Vrajvasis, they were enjoying all those narrations from Nanda Maharaj, and also they relived all the Leelas we have heard so far, which have happened in Vrindavan. Now let us continue. Chapter 27, Prayers by Indra, the King of Heaven. When Krishna saved the inhabitants of Vrindavan from the wrath of Indra by lifting Govardhan hill, a Surabhi cow from Golok Vrindavan, as well as King Indra from the heavenly planets, appeared before him. Indra, the king of heaven, was conscious of his offense before Krishna. Therefore, he stealthily appeared before him in a secluded place. He immediately fell down at the lotus feet of Krishna, although his own crown was dazzling like sunshine. Indra knew about the exalted position of Krishna because Krishna is the master of Indra. But he could not believe that Krishna could come down and live in Vrindavan among the cowherd men. When Krishna defied the authority of Indra, Indra became angry because he thought that he was all in all within this universe and that no one was as powerful as he. But after this incident, his false, puffed-up prestige was destroyed. Being conscious of his subordinate position, he appeared before Krishna with folded hands and began to offer the following prayers. My dear Lord, Indra said, being puffed up by my false prestige, I thought that you had offended me by not allowing the cowherd men to perform the Indra Yajna, and I thought that you wanted to enjoy the offerings that were arranged for the sacrifice. I thought that in the name of a Govardhan sacrifice you were taking my share of profit, and therefore I mistook your position. Now by your grace I can understand that you are the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, and that you are transcendental to all material qualities. Your transcendental position is Vishuddha Sattva, which is above the platform of the material mode of goodness. So we all are trying to attain the Sattva stage so we can chant the holy name offenseless, and Bhagwan, his stage is Vishuddha Sattva, which is even higher than the Sattva. Vishuddha Sattva, which is above the platform of the material mode of goodness, and your transcendental abode is beyond the disturbance of material qualities. Your name, fame, form, qualities, paraphernalia and pastimes are all beyond this material nature, and they are never disturbed by the three material modes, namely goodness, passion and ignorance. Your abode is accessible only for one who undergoes severe austerities and penances and becomes completely freed from the onslaught of material qualities like passion and ignorance. If someone thinks that when you enter within the material world, you accept the modes of material nature, he is mistaken. The waves of the material qualities are never able to touch you, and you certainly do not accept them when you are present within this world. Your lordship is never conditioned by the laws of material. My dear Lord, you are the original father of this cosmic manifestation. You are the supreme spiritual master of this cosmic world, and you are the original proprietor of everything. As eternal time, you are competent to chastise offenders. Within this material world, there are many fools like me who consider themselves to be the Supreme Lord or the all in all within the universe. You are so merciful that without accepting their offenses, you devise means so that their false prestige is subdued and they can know that you and no one else are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. My dear Lord, you are the Supreme Father, the Supreme Spiritual Master, and the Supreme King. Therefore, you have the right to chastise all living entities whenever there is any discrepancy in their behavior. The Father, the Spiritual Master, and the Supreme Executive Officer of the state are always well-wishers of their sons, their students, and their citizens respectively. As such, the well-wishers have the right to chastise their dependents. By your own desire, you appear auspiciously on the earth in your eternal varieties of forms. You come to glorify the earthly planet and specifically to chastise persons who are falsely claiming to be God. In the material world, there is regular competition between different types of living entities to become supreme leaders of society. And after being frustrated in achieving the supreme positions of leadership, foolish persons claim to be God, the Supreme Personality. There are many such foolish personalities in this world like me. But in due course of time, when they come into their senses, they surrender unto you and again engage themselves properly by rendering service unto you. And that is the purpose of your chastising persons envious of you. My dear Lord, I committed a great offense unto your lotus feet, being falsely proud of my material opulences, not knowing your unlimited power. Therefore, my Lord, kindly excuse me, because I am a fool number 1. Kindly give me your blessings so that I may not act so foolishly again. And if you think, my Lord, that the offense is very great and cannot be excused, then I appeal to you that I am your eternal servant. You appear in this world to give protection to your eternal servants and to destroy the demons who maintain great military strength just to burden the very existence of this earth. As I am your eternal servant, please kindly excuse me. My dear Lord, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you because you are the Supreme Person and the Supreme Soul. You are the Son of Vasudeva and you are the Supreme Lord Krishna, the Master of all pure devotees. Please accept my prostrated obeisances, or like we say in Sanskrit or Hindi, Dandavat Pranams. You are the personification of supreme knowledge. You can appear anywhere according to your desire, in any one of your eternal forms. You are the root of all creation and the supreme soul of all living entities. Due to my gross ignorance, I created a great disturbance in Vrindavan by sending torrents of rain and a heavy hailstorm. I acted out of severe anger caused by your stopping the sacrifice which was to be held to satisfy me. But my dear Lord, you are so kind to me that you have bestowed your mercy upon me by destroying all my false pride. I therefore take shelter of your lotus feet. My dear Lord, you are not only the supreme controller but also the spiritual master of all living entities. Thus praised by Indra, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, smiled beautifully and then replied in a grave voice like a rumbling cloud, My dear Indra, I stopped your sacrifice just to show you my causeless mercy and to remind you that I am your eternal master. I am the master not only of you but of all other demigods as well. You should always remember that all your material opulences are due to my mercy. No living entity can independently become opulent. One must be favored by mercy, by my mercy, Lord Krishna said. Everyone should always remember that I am the Supreme Lord. I can show anyone my favor and I can chastise anyone because no one is superior to me. If I find someone overpowered by false pride in order to show him my causeless mercy, I withdraw his opulences. It is noteworthy that Krishna sometimes removes all of a rich man's opulences in order to facilitate his becoming a soul surrendered to him. This is a very powerful message to all of us. This is a special favor of the Lord's. Sometimes it is seen that a person is very opulent materially, but due to his devotional service to the Lord, he may be reduced to poverty. One should not think, however, that because he is worshipping the Supreme Lord, he became poverty stricken. The real purport or the real meaning is that when a person at the same time, by miscalculation, wants to lord over material nature, the Lord shows his special mercy by taking away all material opulences until at last that soul is surrendered completely to the Supreme Lord. So whatever we have in the material world is to be utilized for the service of the Lord. We shouldn't think that we should enjoy those material opulences directly ourselves first. We should first of all offer those opulences or the aishwaryas to the Lord, and then we should take them as prasad to honor them. Because Lord, He is the supreme enjoyer. After instructing Indra, Lord Krishna asked him to return to his kingdom in the heavenly planets and to remember always that he is never the supreme, but is always subordinate to the supreme personality of Godhead. He also advised him to remain as king of heaven, but to be careful of false pride. After this, the transcendental Surabhi cow who had come with Indra from Golok Vrindavan, Indra had come from the heavenly planet Swarga, but the Surabhi cow, she had come from the Golok Vrindavan, where Krishna resides eternally. To see, Krishna offered her respectful obeisances unto him and worshipped him. The Surabhi cow offered her prayer as follows: My dear Lord Krishna, you are the most powerful of all mystic yogis, because you are the soul of the complete universe, and only from you has all this cosmic manifestation taken place. Therefore, although Indra tried his best to kill my descendant cows in Vrindavan, they remained under your shelter, and you have protected them also so well. We do not know anyone else as the Supreme, nor do we go to any other god or demigods for protection. Therefore, you are our Supreme. Therefore, you are our Indra, you are the Supreme Father of the cosmic manifestation, and you are the protector and elevator. I think this is misprint in the book, it should read. Therefore, Krishna, you are the Supreme Father of the whole cosmic manifestation, and you are the protector and elevator of all the cows, brahmanas, demigods, and others who are pure devotees of your Lordship. O Super Soul of the universe, let us bathe you with our milk, for you are our Indra. I think I misunderstood it. Surabhi cow is referring to Lord Krishna as her Indra, not the Indra from the heavenly planet Swarga. So they are saying to Lord Krishna that Lord Krishna, you are our Indra. You appear just to diminish the burden of impure activities on the earth. So this is like a message for the Vrindavan Vasis that they should worship Govardhan Hill or Lord Krishna, not the Indradev. Then the Surabhi cow bathed Krishna with her milk, and Indra bathed him with the water of the celestial Ganges through the trunk of his chariot elephant Airavat. After this, the Surabhi cow and all the demigods and their mothers joined the heavenly king Indra in worshipping Lord Krishna by bathing him with Ganges water and the milk of the Surabhis. Thus, Govinda, Lord Krishna, was pleased with all of them. The residents of all higher planetary systems, such as Gandharvaloka, Vidyadharloka, Siddhaloka, and Charanloka, all combined and glorified the Lord by chanting His holy name, as their wives and damsels danced with great joy. They were very much satisfied the Lord by incessantly pouring flowers from the sky. When everything was very nicely and joyfully settled, the cows overflooded the surface of the earth with their milk. The water of the rivers began to flow with various tasty liquids and give nourishment to the trees, producing fruits and flowers of different colors and taste. The trees began to pour drops of honey. The hills and mountains began to produce potent medicinal plants and valuable stones. Because of Krishna's presence, all of these things happened very nicely, and the lower animals, who were generally envious of one another, were envious no longer. After satisfying Krishna, who is the lord of all the cows in Vrindavan and who is also known as Govinda, King Indra took his permission to return to his heavenly kingdom. As he passed through the cosmic space, he was surrounded by all the kinds of demigods. This great incident is a powerful example of how Krishna consciousness can benefit the world. Even the lower animals forget their envious nature and become elevated to the qualities of the demigods. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 27th chapter of Krishna, prayers by Indra, the king of heaven. So, how King Indra prays to Lord Krishna in this chapter. All these stories from Bhagavatam are actually big lessons for us, and all these characters, the heroes, the villains, as we say in this material world, they all give us eternal lessons for how to behave in our life and how to live our life, so we can remember Lord Krishna when we have our final test amongst us in our life, which is our death, and we are able to remember Krishna. All these characters from Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, they remind us again and again that we are just on a trip, on a journey to this material world, because we wanted to enjoy ourselves now, and in this material world, this is the only time we can have a chance to go back to Godhead, because all other species around us, they are also eating, sleeping, drinking, mating, enjoying themselves, but none of them has got the good fortune of meditating, hearing, or serving Lord Krishna. But we can help all other species as well by offering the flowers from the plants, fruits from the trees, and all the bounties given on this Mother Earth. We can use them to serve Krishna and help all other species to come closer to Krishna in their next life. They say a flower which is offered to Lord Krishna also gets elevated in its next life to become a human. So if we can do that little service, that will be ultimate help of a kind to everything around us. So let us try to focus on Lord Krishna in each and every activity and each and every mundane relationship in this life. Treat all our relationships as our responsibilities given to us by Lord Krishna, because they are all those relationships, they also belong to Krishna end of the day. And let us try not to criticize anyone, especially the devotees, because it is considered as a Vaishnava Aparadh, which hampers our progress in life, and which also hampers our ability to chant the holy name. And let us engage all our senses 24/7 and all our opulences, fortunes or misfortunes, whatever, in Krishna's service. So I shall continue this Katha on Monday with another beautiful story from the Krishna book, Canto 10, which is from Bhagavatam. And tomorrow I shall speak on how to offer prasada in the Saturday morning session. I will see you all again. Have a lovely day. Thank you, Narayan Keshav Prabhu. Thank you, Shamita, for joining me. Full day.